Alright, so now I'm playing round 3 against Grandmaster Aram Hakobyan. His rating is 2600 plus, and he's Armenian. And you don't mess with 2600s. Like, 2600s are very, very good. They made it through the fire. It's really hard to beat them. And I mean, I was excited for the game, but I was also like, I gotta play this guy. Because right now, I just want to norm. I'll take all the challenges after I norm. And with 2 out of 2, I mean, playing this guy is actually good because my average rating will be very high. But you can't lose when you want to norm. And not losing to 2600 is not the easiest thing in the world. All right. So, funny thing here is normally I go Scotch Gambit with d4. But against like a really strong player, I know he's going to know all the theory. And the Scotch Gambit is a little cracked where like if black knows exactly what to do, it is going to be very hard for white to win, and not just to win, but to draw. Like black can be better in a lot of variations. So against lower rateds, I will whip out the Scotch Gambit more, but against these 2600 guys, I was like, all right, let me just play solid, normal chess. And I also, just like the other openings, I was like, all right, this tournament, I'm going to go straight Italian, and just take my time. And that's what I decided before, and I decided to stick to it. So once again, stick to what you decide you're going to do. It will pay off, I think. So I just go with a normal setup. I'm trying to like get him to castle king side so I can castle queen side and we have a fun time. But he knows the kind of stuff that I'm looking for. So we just kind of take it slow. Okay, and once they take on e3, I like to castle king side and switch my plan because I have this open f file. And you can get a lot of tactics with that, knight h4, knight f5. So here I was like, all right, if he's going to take it, then let me go ahead and castle king side. So he tries to grab the bishop there. And once again, my only plan in chess, this is always what I try to do, bring all the pieces to your opponent's weak side or their king. So that's what I start doing here. Let me put the engine on. Okay, so we go knight h4, we go rook f3, take. And now here I was debating between queen f2 and queen g3. And the reason I went queen g3 is even if he goes knight h5, his knight doesn't really want to be there. At some point I move and he has to go back. And then I got queen f2 anyway, almost for free, right? And if he doesn't, now I get rook f1 with tempo, because now I'm threatening rook takes f6. And once I get the faster you can start making making threats, the faster your attack is generally going to like proceed and do well. Because if you take too much time, his attack is going to be a little bit faster, and now you're going to have stuff to worry about. So attack them first. That way they don't have time to attack you. It's like that one saying, offense is the best defense, because they don't have time to play offense if they're playing defense. All right, so b4, knight e2, which honestly I was happy with because I want to bring more pieces over there. Rook f1, knight f5, and take. And now here, there's two ways to take. Rook takes. I mean, I really wanted to do it, and I think that was my original plan. I mean, I'm not really worried about these double pawns, though I actually kind of should be. The idea I missed was d4, which is actually like a really creative idea. Because now if he takes, my knight comes in, and now this attack is actually kind of legit. Like I can move, if my knight gets to f5, it opens up a lot of threats. So this d4 move is definitely one I missed, but definitely I'm going to keep in my mind. Because it's a cool idea, and I'm going to get this position again probably. And that's how you kind of beat people and also like raise your game to the next level. If you miss something, catalog it in your brain, and next time, remember it. That way you can get advantage. And that's why I always say stick to the same openings or stick to an opening, and just the more games you play in it, the better you're going to get. But I went e takes. And the idea is, okay, I was like, okay, if I go f6, obviously he's correct. So he's got to block it. Now if he blocks it, I can just slowly take my time, go g4, h4, g5. And it's one of those just free play positions where it's like, I'm not really worried about anything here. It's going to take him years to kind of make any real threats. And if I have enough time, he might get checkmated. And the threat of checkmate is always better. So I go queen e1 because I want to move with tempo. I go here to attack this pawn. Now he has to deal with it. And my idea is knight g3. And, okay, so here, this is when I get really excited. Because I was like, okay, if he goes queen h4, I have this plan to trap his queen. And, okay, so here, let me show you the plan first. So f6, if he goes knight takes, I just go rook takes, pawn takes, rook f5. And now I'm trapping his queen. I'm beating at 2600. I'm 3 out of 3 in the US Masters. Like, I'm almost guaranteed a norm at this point. I was really excited. But if I kind of saw through it, he definitely saw that his queen was going to get trapped. 2600s don't miss like tactics like that, right? So what he was trying to do, and it's honestly kind of smart, is right now he has nothing. I just have control. I'm going to just slowly get everything that I want. So he almost tries to provoke a weakness out of me, because now when I go f6, he goes g6, and now this pawn is weak. The only thing that he has to calculate is, does his queen get trapped? And I think at this point, I might even be up like an hour on the clock, or like 30 to 40 minutes. Like, he's been thinking a lot. And that's probably what he was spending all that time thinking about. Like, is there any way for him to trap my queen? If not, then this is worth it. I know he's going to bite on the tactic, and it kind of worked to a T. Though, what I could have done, and this would have, like, this is kind of probably the flaw in his plan, is if I really wanted to get a draw, I could just go knight f5 here. And I was so close to doing it. The idea is, obviously he can't take here because I take his queen. So he has to take my queen. I go knight e7 check, king h8, and then I go rook takes queen. Now I'm attacking c6, so he has to go rook a6. And how does he get out of this mess? This knight, this rook is held here. His king is stuck, and these pieces can't really move. Now the other thing is I can't really do anything. And what I was scared of was, if I give him enough time, he's going to find a way to do find a way to win. And I don't really have any counterattack here. Like, my plan would be to go like eventually g4, and then if I could, let's say he did something random like g5. If I could set this in, he's basically playing without a king the rest of the game. If he's playing without a king, then worst case, I'm gonna draw. Probably winning chances, like you can see, but I would be the one pressing in this position. But I guess I wasn't confident enough in my ability without queens. Against a 2600, like, I do like endgames. I think my endgame is getting a lot better. And I can beat maybe even weak grandmasters in it. But at 2600, with this pawn on f6, I was really nervous. And I didn't trust myself enough. Now looking back now, what would I do? Tough question. But I probably would go towards the controlling way. Just knight f5. Because, I mean, after this tournament, I've seen I can really like hold my own in that. So the other problem is, after this move, after this my glory days don't work, I start playing like a complete idiot. Like, you just look at my next couple moves, they do nothing. I'm literally just moving around, like maybe trying to trap my queen, and instead I'll trap his queen. But the problem is, all I'm doing is making my position worse and worse. And it's kind of here that I start getting low on time. I'm like, okay, this pawn is going to go. You can push this. Like, the castle is collapsing. So here's where, and I don't know why I didn't think about this before, but I'm like, all right, I got to do something. Let me try to make it crazy. So I go c4. So c4, I mean, I'm just trying to like blow up the center and trying to make something happen. So he takes, I go take this way. And this was actually really bad, because, and I kind of expected him to see it, but he didn't. Is you could just push this pawn and I'm cooked. Because at some point I'm gonna have to devote all my resources to stopping this passed pawn from going. Yeah, like that. And in the meantime, my king is still weak. These pawns are still weak. Like, something's gonna fall. I got more than 2 weaknesses. I think this would have been the cleanest way to go. He kind of lets me a little bit back into it, at least calculating wise. So take here. And there's a lot of hanging pieces here. And I go c5. And computer vision, it looks cool, because like I'm attacking this, I'm threatening this. If he takes here, I take this. Everything is holding. And that's why I think this is probably the wrong way for him to go, because he still has chances to lose here. Where if he just pushed this a pawn, it was probably just like, that's a wrap. So he takes, I take. I mean, there's a bunch of things to calculate here. I think rook takes works too. I went with knight takes, queen takes pawn, and I don't know why I didn't go for this. I mean, I saw this variation, but for some reason I was really adverse to it. And I didn't even see king g8. So king g8 is actually the only move that kind of holds here. And to be honest, like we talked after the game, he didn't even see king g8. His plan was to go h takes. And I would go rook takes pawn check here, king h6, and then I would take this rook. And this is the position that we were probably going to get. And here, like I still have really good chances. I mean, objectively, like my king is weaker, but I'm up in exchange for a pawn, and his king is not the best either. If I had gone for this, there was a very good chance I drew this game. But unfortunately, I played knight h4, and here I think I'm winning. Well, in my head, I'm like, dude, I can actually do this. Like, I might actually come back. And I completely missed f5. So I did miss some moves so far in this tournament, which I'm not very happy about. Like round 1 against Kevin Suh with queen d7, and now round 3 with f5. And you'll see a couple more spots. So still some work to do. And I missed rook takes f5 too. I was really trying to make knight takes work. And at this point, I think I'm starting to get a little bit low on time, because I've been having to just defend this like just weird position for a long time, and that kind of takes a lot of time to figure stuff out. So I'm getting low on time here, and I wanted to do this, but I didn't think it worked. There's like queen c2 check, and I just knew this wasn't going to happen. Oh, yeah, queen c2 check, rook f2, and then rook f6. Once I saw this, I was like, no, I'm dead. Does he have anything else? Yeah, rook f6 is the only move here. But after this, the pins are just adding up. Because if he takes the queen, if I take his queen, he takes mine. And then I'm just done. I'm just going to lose this endgame. He's got the pawns here. So, I mean, I think I just make like a weird move like g4. But after this, it's basically over. And this guy's really good at bullet. His tactics are super, super nice. I mean, I actually saw some like decent defending holding moves. But, I mean, he's just too nice. And the idea is if I take here, he's got check and queen g1 is mate. So it was honestly a good game for me, because this is where I started learning, like, I can hold against these 2600s, I can beat them, like, I'm in these games. And I guess it's something I kind of already know, because it's not my first time. I have beaten a 2600 before, but I mean, it's something you just never expect. And after this game, I was like, all right, I can do this, especially with white. So now I'm 2 out of 3. We're going to go to round 4. But this is my first loss, and it was a bittersweet one, because I think if I played a little bit better, just a tiny bit better, I could have at least held this game. But still, good for the confidence.